Today FM's Fergal Darcy.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you please welcome to the show Grammy Award-winning artist Hayley Williams. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm getting by. How are you?
I'm delighted to have you on the show because I have been following you for quite a bit on this. So you were on the set of the video for Rose Colored Boy. Yourself and the guys very maturely decided, you know something, Zach, Taylor, let's take some time off and find ourselves and do the right thing, because it's the right thing for Paramore, it's the right thing for you. And now we have an embodiment of work, which is basically you pouring all your emotion out on paper, and it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
When you come from After Laughter, one of the happiest records that's about depression, and then, of course, you went through your own demons. When I listen to this, take, for instance, Dead Horse. It's fantastically vibrant and expressive, down a kind of a popular vein. It captures the challenge that you've had in yourself and that you've conquered over time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the one song that I think the juxtaposition between the sound and the lyrics is very similar to the territory we were, dancing around with After Laughter, and so in that regard, that was like a return to form for me. But this record as a whole, I am kind of battling down my demons and facing myself for the first time in a very long time. Not to say I've never been transparent before in music, that's kind of my MO, but this record I just needed to, I really needed to flush out a lot of things that had been inside me for too long.
By doing that, you've given a lot of courage to people to speak about mental health and issues like that. I know particularly in Ireland, that's a problem. Young people don't talk about this. And this for me, this album to me, from listening to the songs I've heard so far, Cinnamon, Leave It Alone, what a wonderful song. That's a song that just captures grief perfectly. And that's your starting point. It's like, don't nobody tell me that God don't have a sense of humour. And that's exactly where you started, and you kind of drag everything from there. This is like Chris Cornell's Euphoria Morning, or Jagged Little Pill. You're just getting it all out.
Wow. What amazing company. That's insane. Thank you.
Definitely that particular starting point of grief, is that something that you felt that you needed to kind of get out and then build from there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm terrified of losing people, more so than them losing me. And I think, that was my first problem. But after that, I had to really take a close look at why I'm so afraid of loss. And I think it comes down to fear of being abandoned in 1,000 different ways, and there's a lot of ways that someone can feel abandoned. I was just trying to make sense of all that. My mother's mother, my Nana, had a head injury which left her with, no more than like a 2-minute memory span, and it really changed our family's dynamic for a long time. I mean, even now we're not really used to it, even though I think I don't know, maybe it's a little bit more normal. There was a lot of grief there, even though there wasn't a death. And I fear death within my family, and I hate the thought of going on without people that I love. I needed to put that somewhere because I think that can become a dangerous thought if left, undealt with. So I'm proud of that song, and sometimes it's a little hard for me to listen to. Thank God I don't sit around listening to my own records, but that's a pretty packed one.
I do think, the argument has always been there because you have done work with other artists, and I think everyone has always wanted to see a solo record from you, and I know that Zach and Taylor would be very supportive of you in that. And I know that actually, if you had your way, you'd probably bring them on tour with you. Do you know the worst thing about this is putting out an album right now and not knowing whether you're going to get to play it live?
Oh my God, I know. I was just talking to Joey about this yesterday. We both have just been looking so forward to being with our crew again, because even though Zach and Taylor and the rest of the Paramore guys aren't coming out, our Paramore crew is coming out to help make the shows happen. So we were just excited to kind of get a taste of that again and be with our family and now we don't know when we get to do it again. I mean, I think it'll be next year. But, look, I've been telling myself, like, this is how it was meant to be. For some reason that I will never understand, or maybe someday I will, this is how it was supposed to be. And I hope that the songs still find people and comfort them or give them an outlet, that maybe otherwise they wouldn't have been able to articulate.
I think that's very important, because there comes a time in everyone's life where they kind of realize that you have led an extraordinary life, in the sense that, ordinary people do ordinary things, but extraordinary people do extraordinary things. And sometimes parts of your life get left on the shelf that you have to deal with at a later stage, parts that you don't understand whilst you're so busy being on the road. And you have been on the road from quite a young age. So I think that like this now is that release. And in fact, this is probably the best form of therapy there is.
True, yeah. I mean, it's also it's the only thing I know is making something out of the things I've gone through, and then finding a way to release that, whether that's just by singing it out and, into my phone or into my house by myself, or whether it's recording it and like professionally, officially releasing it to the world. I mean, I'm very used to the process. It doesn't come without its new territories and its new fears or whatever, but like this feels like the right thing to do with what I've gone through, like to honor it and to sort of respect the process that I'm going through currently, because it's all ongoing. I keep wanting to remind people, like, the album is finished, and I think that it's easy to listen to a record and think that it's tied up with a bow and all those stories are complete, but no way. Like, this is an ongoing story that I'm still learning from and pulling from, and, it is therapy in that way.
Well, Petals for Armour is out now. Petals for Armour itself, which I really like about this, you released in 2 parts. But what I like about it is that's a lyric from Simmer, which happens to be a bridge in the song. And for me, I think that this album pretty much is a bridge for you at this moment in time, and it's something that you're getting over. So I think it's a beautiful metaphor there.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having you all, Hayley. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you. I hope to see you guys as soon as we can.
Fergal Darcy.
Weekdays from 2
on Today FM.